Hi, my name is Denny Flint, President of Complete Practice Resources. Welcome to the I-10 Toolkit. ICD-10 is being called the most significant change to how healthcare does business in over 30 years. What's required is an organized, methodical, step-by-step approach so that important pieces of the ICD-10 implementation puzzle will not be missed. That's what this toolkit will do for you. What you have is a task-driven virtual consultant that allows you to assess and address ICD-10's impact everywhere a diagnosis code affects your organization. The toolkit allows you to assign and monitor deadlines, ensuring accountability for each milestone, as well as track estimated versus allocated versus actual costs in dollars and hours, so budget issues can be handled in real time. Wherever possible, our team of experts created content that makes it easy to develop your project's rules of the road. Most importantly, the toolkit contains step-by-step instructions that carry you through every stage of the ICD-10 transition challenge. On behalf of Complete Practice Resources, thank you for trusting us with this important transition. This application will go a long way in ensuring your success, but please remember, we've got your back and we'll be here for whenever you need us. Let's take a look at how the toolkit works.
We'll look at how the toolkit is organized, how to navigate the features and functions, and goals you will want to accomplish in Phase 1. Let's first take a look at the Admin tab. The executive sponsor who acts as the overall project manager will be responsible for managing users and milestones. The Managing Users section allows you to create and edit staff members as well as manage access to the toolkit. Simply add the names, titles, project roles, department, and contact information for your project team. The toolkit easily allows you to populate these names to any other area where you will need to assign accountability. Now let's look at the Manage Milestones tab. For each milestone in the toolkit, this is the area you will use to monitor start and due dates, the person responsible for completion of that milestone, and information about recommended training, staff instructions, and additional comments. Now let's look at how the toolkit is organized. In order to make the ICD-10 implementation easy to accomplish and relatively stress-free, Complete Practice Resources recommends a sane, measured, and phased approach to the ICD-10 transition. Here are the phases. Create ICD-10 awareness throughout your practice, organize your ICD-10 implementation effort, create your project plan, project implementation, and finally monitor ICD-10 submissions and receipt. Now let's take a look at how the toolkit follows these phases. As are most organizations, you're currently in Phase 1 and are therefore watching this video. Once the project team members you assign complete this task and also read the background and overview information about ICD-10 in the toolkit, you can select these milestones as complete. Phase 2, organizing the implementation effort, is where most of the implementation work will be accomplished. This is the phase in which you will create rules of the road for your project. Conduct an organizational survey that allows you to enter stakeholders, create goals, perform a simple chart audit, and assess the impact virtually everywhere a diagnosis code touches the practice. Please note, you are not required to perform the tasks and milestones in the exact order they are presented in the toolkit. Some tasks, such as creating an estimated budget, for example, may carry over into multiple phases. For Phase 3, creation of your plan, you will note that as you perform the different impact analyses in Phase 2, your plan is being created for you behind the scenes. Important goals for this section will be to select training options, establish your allocated budget, and share the chart review results with your providers in order to spotlight important documentation elements they will need to capture for ICD-10. By the time you get to Phase 4, implementing the plan, all that is required is for the executive sponsor or project manager to monitor deadlines and accountability and marshal assistance where it is needed in order to accomplish tasks and milestones. Continuing to monitor budget and assigning role-based training are additional milestones in Phase 4. We took the toolkit one step further. No one can predict exactly what ICD-10 will do to an organization until after it is implemented. Therefore, in Phase 5, which is post-implementation, it is important to monitor important metrics, such as revenue by payer, provider productivity and denial reports for trends that identify ICD-10 related problems so they can be quickly addressed. Let's take a look at some other important features of the ICD-10 toolkit. First, let's show you how easy it is to create a task. We'll use your next milestone in Phase 1, Read Background and Overview, as an example. This milestone introduces important ICD-10 background and should be required reading for all members of the organization affected by ICD-10. In order to create accountability and deadlines, simply click on the Show Tasks button. Here you will see the title of the task, a description, and instructions associated with that task. To assign the task to members of the organization, simply click on the Edit List button. Remember that you've already entered members of your project team in the Admin tab we just discussed. You have various selection options. You can add one user, you can select users by role, or you can add all staff. The last option is the most appropriate choice for this particular milestone because you want all members of your team to read the background and overview section in order to be familiar with ICD-10. Next, we'll pick a start date by clicking on the Show Date Time Editor and choosing a date on the calendar. Next, choose your end date, time, by clicking on that button. That's it. You're all done assigning that task and creating start and due dates. It's that easy. Speaking of due date deadlines and accountability, you have two ways to monitor the on-time progress of your project. You can use the Toolkit calendar. Note the different colors. Red means the milestone is overdue based upon the deadline you set. Green means the milestone is completed, and blue means that milestone is pending. You can also monitor progress by selecting Project Plan in the overview. This provides an at-a-glance view of the status of your milestones with the same color coding. Note the Print Project Plan button. Many sections have print buttons, but you can print from virtually anywhere in the toolkit with a simple right click. Note the user has the option to show only their assigned milestones or show all milestones within the project. You can track the progress of your ICD-10 implementation by completion percentage for each phase and for the overall project itself. Remember that once you enter data in the toolkit, the information is held and then populated in other areas you will need it. Let's take a look at identifying external stakeholders in Phase 2 as an example. We'll enter important information about our software vendor, the name of the software, contact person, phone number, email address, and any other appropriate comments. Now let's look at where else we might need this information. We'll select Health Information Software Systems further in Phase 2 as an example. As you can see, the information is conveniently located right there at your fingertips with no double entry required. Note also, every key question you need to ask your IT vendor is listed in this milestone. When will the ICD-10 upgrade be released? Will there be a system downtime associated with the deployment? Can our system carry dual-track ICD-9 and ICD-10 code sets? When will the vendor be ready to test? Depending on their answers, you can create tasks to ensure your IT vendor is part of the solution and not part of the problem. Other important features we'll be discussing in later videos are simple chart reviews that reveal current documentation shortfalls, the ability to easily create and assess estimated versus allocated versus actual budget, and the ability to monitor post-transition trends of key metrics affected by ICD-10, just to name a few. The Simple Solutions ICD-10 Transition Toolkit is a task-driven virtual consultant that assists you in methodically and systematically organizing the many moving parts of the ICD-10 transition. If you follow the toolkit steps in a timely fashion, you will achieve a successful transition. Completing Phase 1 means you have created ICD-10 awareness throughout your practice. Next, we'll move on to Phase 2, organizing your ICD-10 implementation effort.